All right. So, Hannah, we're already recording. We're jumping right in. We don't do
Yay.
intros. We don't do any of that stuff. Okay. You have a few ads. You already
Mhm.
told me you have a reason why you're putting these in order. You've got points to each one. So I'm excited. You
Yeah.
can just hit share and let's just
Perfect.
dive in.
First, I'll give a little bit of context for sure. I've been working with this one brand for, oh my goodness, probably 3 years now.
Mm.
We've been testing so many different concepts, and it just proof to show that like testing is the name of the game because that's where you find the true golden nuggets and the things worth doubling down on. And had we had not taken like multiple risks in order to test different messaging and really having someone who is able to like spot the things within advertising that they're able to create hypothesis around certain ads and then go out and test them again. This is really how we were able to find for this specific brand multiple winners, and I'll kind of walk you through some of like my thought process of how as the creator on this account we were able to get to this place. But first, I want to show the bread and butter ad that this is a highly giftable product. So I will
Mm.
caveat that this product is super, super giftable. Most people have probably seen this ad because it went viral like over the holiday period last year. But it's really cool. We did a lot of things to season this ad ahead of Black Friday last year. So we'll dive into all of that. But first, I just want to play it, see what you think about it, see what you notice about it, some of your takeaways, and then I'll kind of like dive into like how we even got here. But for context, this ad did profitably spend over $1 million and spend over the holiday season.
Ooh, wow.
And yeah, it was really great. So let's see. Sorry, I got it.
$1 million
Oh,
ad.
here we go.
Okay. You're
Let's
really
sh-
showing the big stuff. I love it.
let's share this screen and also share audio. Okay, sorry, we're good. First time I've
Boom.
done this. Can you see this screen?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Awesome. So there were two variations of this ad that we ran over Black Friday, Cyber Monday. They were both pretty comparable in terms of hold rate, etc. But I'm just going to play the ad and let you see it for yourself. Here we go. This is the best gift for your chronically cold loved ones.
It's a marshmallow blanket.
Who doesn't love blankets?
This is amazing. I love it. The biggest blanket I have ever seen.
It looks so good in your house. Love how like it's double-sided. They are washable.
And soft, and it's weighted. Ever want another blanket? You're my favorite.
What are you even doing? Go to unhide.us and get a marshmallow blanket now. Listen to mom.
Right now.
All righty. So that was
Ooh.
that's
A
the
great
first
ad.
ad that I have for you. But it's funny because it wasn't like the end all ad. Like it took us multiple shots to get to that ad. So anyway, I just want to hear
Mm.
what you think about it off the cuff. Like, what do
Okay.
you notice about it? You know it's a winner, so why?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it feels very comfortable. That's the word
Hmm.
that keeps coming up to like for me is like it feels comfortable. It's not very scripted. Like there is certain things that I think I can see knowing you. I'm like, okay, she got that point in to like get there, but it's
Hmm.
done in a way that feels way more organic. But again, there's a performance lens to it. My question though is, how did you brief this? Right? Because sometimes I find that
Hmm.
when you get into a brief, you start to box yourself in a bit, right?
Yep.
Like that kind of breaks what a traditional brief would be. Like very rarely could you just be like, let me just go write this out. So I'm curious
Hmm.
if this is just like a one take, like let me just try this, or did you like write this out and like try to be like, okay, how do I make this organic video happen?
Yeah. Well, I think we kind of maybe already know the answer to this, like subconsciously, because when you try to make a piece of content organic, when you try, that's hard because like
Yeah.
it either is or it isn't, right? I don't really agree with like this whole methodology of taking, um, an organic inspiration or something and replicating it word for word. I just think it always falls flat. So therefore, this needs originality in it. And that's why it performs so well, is because you can tell that, just like you said. Now, there are direct response elements within it, such as the hook. But to be honest, the hook and the call to action are the only things that were scripted. The other parts of, and that was from through a series of hypotheses that I had, which we'll back into again in a little bit. But what's really cool is there is a formula for these kinds of ads that I have been able to figure out. And it looks a lot like this. It is determine the right messaging with the right avatar / audience, right? And run with those hooks. But then in the briefing structure of it all, like just hit record. Literally just hit record. I think it comes down to the talent that you use. Obviously, I'm a person that's able to invoke and extract certain key information from the talent that I work with. So in this case, this person was not my mom. She is an actress, technically, a friend of mine. So someone I was comfortable still with being myself. And it was easy for me to extract some of those sound bites from her. And so that looks like usually having one extra person there to capture footage, because you're looking for two different kinds of shots. You're looking for a POV, if you saw POV, like touching the blanket, feeling the blanket, and seeing her reaction from my point of view. And then there's a third eye view of what is happening here. What is the scene? And together they blend. So we did have a third shooter there to capture that second side of things. But other than that, we just hit record and we were fun and funky for like 20 minutes of just let it run, let it like go. What does it feel like? How, and so I do have some questions that I kind of season myself with before I go into these kinds of shoots to get ready to extract that information. Should the conversation die off? Should there not be as heightened reactions? But I'll kind of have that list in my head. Originally, I used to have to like reference it all the time, but now it's just in my head where I'm able to say, what does it feel like? What is it better than? How, if you were to describe it in 3 words or in 1 word, what would you say? What, so I just have like these questions. And that is the narrative that we use to kind of just build the storyline. You can kind of tell when you're at the end, there's not much more you can say. You've kind of created a whole sequence. And then I literally just trust that we got the footage because it's organic and authentic and fun. And so then what I do is it more so happens in post. The magic happens in post, right? In editing. And
Yeah.
you might look at like, whoa, how in the world do you take 20 minutes of footage and find a storyline in there? And I used to do something really bad, which I used to delegate this to editors. And I would find that what I was really doing was delegating storytelling. And that
Mm.
is an extremely hard thing to do. And I was not always so happy with the results that I was getting back in terms of it just didn't hit the same way. But that's because I was there. I shot the footage. I know the story. And
Yeah.
so what I found success doing is recording for 20 minutes and then uploading that entire raw footage to Descript. And then from Descript, I edit via the sound bites of the transcript. And so I will find the sound bites that are most attractive within a general storyline, which is product is introduced, product is shown, product, she says something about the product, and then we do a nice call to action. And so I try to find the best, and that cuts down to like maybe 6 minutes. Then I'm stuck with like, okay, what's really going to resonate like with this audience? What sound bites in here? The way she says it makes a difference too. So that's where I start piecing together a couple different options, and then I'll get usually a third opinion. What do you think about this rough cut from someone? And they're like, oh, that seems repetitive. Oh, that seems like I don't think you need that. And I really
Mm.
do start to ask the question, so what, to the viewer? Is this soundbite important for them? Why should I go with this over her saying that? And through that, you just kind of create your best shot at the ad. And I think once you flex the muscle of doing it this way, which it does, it's a little bit more of a backwards way. This is in the cutting room. You are definitely cutting.
Yes.
But it really creates something unique and something highly like it's very hard to replicate. And the reason I know this is because I create many winning ads like this. Actually, I would say most of my winning ads are these kinds of ads versus like a traditionally scripted brief.
So
And yeah, so
how,
that's kind of
how
how I come to
I
it.
I love it. Like how like my question is then how did you pick when do you cut to B-roll versus like the A-roll? Because I think that also kind of helps speed up the story or at
Yeah,
least allows you to cut between that longer take. Like if you did 20 minutes of, just talking and, getting
exactly.
all this stuff, does the B-roll allow you to just cut between that or how are you picking out like which pieces of
Yeah.
B-roll to like use?
Mainly the things I'm looking for are like pacing. I silence the video and I watch it. And if I'm not interested in even it without words, even like if I'm not like, ooh, like this is a product that is highly showable, it needs to be shown. And so it's like, I know I knew that for this specific brand. And so that's a first step is this even visually entertaining to like feast my eyes on? If it's not, then I'll start cutting in where my brain wants to see something change. And then from there, I will listen. I'll turn back on the sound. I'll listen to the sound. And, she says, it's so soft. Like, why would I just show how soft it is in one format? Like, why wouldn't I showcase her saying that, but then also immediately her showing how soft it is? So, therefore, it's like I match what I'm doing with that kind of action, right? Or yeah, so that's kind of how I go about it, figuring it out that way. But yeah,
S- the
it's kind of a
silent
game of plate.
test.
It's a
I
test.
like that. So do you watch all of your ads silently first?
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. Even before I put text overlay on, because I'm just like, ooh, like, is this visually stimulating, especially for the audience? Now, if it was like a VSL or like something, educational ad, that's much different. We need to hear it. But I still do the same principle applies, like, is what I'm doing matching. And it doesn't always
Mhm.
have to do that, because you see a lot of those ads where it's like, I had the worst night's sleep. And it's like, okay, then you already know what you're gonna see. A creator like flopping around in their bed, and it's like, okay, is this predictable to the viewer though? Because like I also don't want to
Mm.
be predictable to them either. So it's like maybe her just continuing to talk to camera is predictable. So cutting to the soft thing is a little less predictable for the viewer to watch. And then I don't know. I also just say like, why? What would I want to see, right? Like,
Yeah.
what would entice me to freaking buy this product? And her just sitting there talking about it without showing me how fluffy it is would not be it. So,
So you had mentioned the hook text. What was the hook text? Could you show that again?
yeah,
Let's
I'm
break
so
that
glad
down.
you brought that up because that is a huge reason of why this worked. And I can tell you how we got here too, but I will show you
Let's do it.
first. So,
The
here's the hook
best gift
text.
for your chronically cold loved ones. I love that. Okay.
This is the best gift for your chronically cold loved ones.
It's a marshmallow blanket.
Who doesn't love blankets?
Okay, cool.
Who doesn't love blankets is also like on in there on purpose. Like I want to
Mm,
make the viewer feel a little duh. Like duh, I love blankets. I feel seen in this ad. I love blankets, so this is for me. Like, wait, what? Or I know someone who loves blankets. So every part of this ad is still strategically designed. It's just why is that there before something else? Yeah, but the chronically cold, I want to talk about how we got here because this is one of the biggest learning lessons of this ad personally. Um, so first I want to showcase this ad and I want you to see if you notice anything. This is another ad for a different product, but for the same brand. And please excuse how cringe this ad is because this was from 2023, two, maybe a long time ago.
ooh,
But this is what
throwback.
led to the learning of chronically cold, which led to a over $1 million spend ad, right? So I want you to watch this It's for a different product, but what do you notice about it?
I didn't realize how much this would mean to my Nana. Grandma is chronically cold. Doesn't matter the season, she needs warmth. Everyone, including me, raves about how soft, cozy, and warm the Sleepy is, so it seemed to be the perfect thing for her. I'm so glad I did because I haven't heard her complain about the cold once. I am having a hard time getting her out of it. So, Nana, you like your Sleepy?
Love it.
Right now, you can get 30% off your orders, so head to Unhide to snag yours now.
All right. So did you notice anything about this ad?
I mean, I noticed you had slipped in the chronically cold, not at the hook, but around like that 3 to 6 second time frame, which I think was like really interesting. But it also kind of like it feels like it hits a little different because you were talking about the grandmother. Like, it's like my
Yeah.
nana is chronically cold, so it just feels like, I don't know, like a not a disease, but like a like a sickness, sort of thing, which I
Yeah.
like.
It's really interesting. So some common denominators of this is it's a gifting video, if you've seen. This was also a high performing video at the time over Mother's Day back in 2023. It came before the chronically cold ad, right? And so this one, what I loved about this is it performed really well. And so I was like sitting there thinking, why, right? Like, why does this ad do so well? Half of the gifting was part of my hypothesis is like, this is again a very like organic feeling video, natural. You see a true expression happening. But then there was the question about the angle, right? I chose this angle, chronically cold. And that was just kind of by accident. It was something I saw a lot in the reviews about people saying that they were cold. And so chronically cold was something that I just slipped in there. It wasn't till a year went by that I made the connection. Is this an angle that's a true pain point for people? That's actually, and the reason I figured that out is because there were so many people in my life who were getting older who were freezing all the time and looking for products that would help them stay warm. And so I was like, whoa, maybe this is worth testing the hypothesis of chronically cold in its own concept. And sure enough, I did. And it slapped. Like, it hit. It was so great. And then something else. So that's kind of how I came to the hook, really. And now I would say it's a bit overdone. We've definitely used chronically cold for Unhide as much as we possibly can. They have tried to dole out, these exact scripts to replicate. They are so hard to do. But yeah, I think it's just a really crazy learning lesson is sometimes like your golden nugget is within your own ads. You just had no idea. And it's another resource and reason to let creators play. Because like you might have eyes on your brand too much sometimes to where it locks you in like this little, you can't see other possibilities. But UGC truly is about like letting the customer live with the thing. My grandma is chronically cold. And so it's like it made sense to go that way. And it worked. But I think another reason that this ad worked in general, or all these ads, are for a reason that I cannot believe that I'm even going to say. It's not like it's revolutionary
A
by
podcast
any means.
exclusive. A podcast exclusive.
It's not that it's revolutionary in any way because I'm sure there's actual terminology for it. But I have noticed that when I name a problem and I create a problem and I boil it down into a phrase that people can see themselves in, it performs so much better. So what I mean by that, chronically cold sounds great to the ear. It has great alliteration and it's a problem, but it is wrapped up in a way that makes people instantly understand what it is. I created this other ad that went on to spend, let's see, this ad spent over $125,000. So not the same, but it's also a completely different product. But I want look at this hook and see what you think about it.
Say goodbye to drink prep drama. Shaking, stirring, clumpy drinks in plastic mixers.
Not exactly what we'd call eco chic.
That's why I switched to the Elixir Mixer. It's a glass bottle and a whisk in one, perfect for seamlessly blending your favorite hot or cold drinks in seconds.
And it saved me so much time and hassle.
I truly never leave the house without it.
Ladies, if you love your daily drinks as much as I do,
The Elixir Mixer will make them even better.
she's worth every cent.
Get yours now.
Also, a pretty old ad. But if you noticed at the beginning of this hook, like, what did I do? I named a problem. Drink prep
So
drama.
one thing I was gonna say was that so people talk about like problem solution, right? And sometimes they are like the way that they would do that is like for going back to the big blanket, they would be like, you sitting out on the couch so cold? Well, let me show you. Check out this blanket. But by naming the chronically cold, it's like you're like creating like it's like a disease. Like that's what I was saying. It's like you're creating like this sickness, like this like thing that's tangible. It's like you
Mm-hmm.
can understand it, right? Like you're not trying to like
Exactly.
understand like, is it cold? What do I feel? How do I do this? You're like it's like you're just helping people get to the
Yep.
problem faster, like just it just
Exactly.
registers faster. And then that's the same thing here, like say goodbye to drink prep drama, because
Like,
then it's
what
like,
is drink prep drama? No one knows what that is. That's
but they do
crazy. But they
when they hit
do.
it, because it like it creates this box that's like, okay, that's this thing.
Yep.
Then you do agitate that, right? But you're like, here's the problem, but then you go shaking, did like all the you kind of list it out really quickly, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're like, okay, but here's the all in one.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. I also think that in both of these, you actually show the product at the beginning
Yep.
of both of these. So even though you're introducing the problem, you still are actually showing like
Mm-hmm.
the solution, like on top, like behind the problem. Like if the text
You're
is like
right.
forward, like the problem is behind. And I think that's also like an interesting
Ooh,
insight there too.
that is. I haven't even picked up on that.
Cause
But
like,
that's
what
why they
if it
call you the
was
cutting
like,
room master, right?
I'm not a master, but what if like, cause like, I wonder if you had done the same thing, but just shown the like the juggling behind like all the drink prep, like say goodbye to print, like,
Mm-hmm.
whereas like you are showing the
This is
like
aspirational. This is the
one,
aspirational
it's all
end result.
clean, it's all clean, it's all right here, and whatever, or you you're looking really cozy,
Mm-hmm.
even though you're chronically cold, you're cozy, but you've got like this one, like you've got the product right there.
Ooh, I
So
love that insight. Yep. And
there's like some
so,
tension, like
yep,
a
it's
juxtaposition of
stacked.
the two.
It's stacked,
Yes.
right? Like there's layers. And some people will just think, oh, it's a hook. Like there are so many layers to a hook, as we just found out. There's like 5 layers in just 3 seconds.
So tell me this though. How do you choose how much you want to talk on camera versus showing? Because let's say
Mm,
like this video here has pretty much it's mainly b-roll actually, and
mhm.
voiceover, and then like you'll get in a few lines, like not even a line, like a half a line, and it goes to the voiceover. So I'm curious how you choose, like how much do you want to show of you talking versus like b-roll, and maybe that's the silent test, like the
Yeah,
that I actually
it
really like
is.
that.
It is
Okay.
the silent test because I'm like, if I need something more, well, I'm not just going to do a filler. Like, and that's what, a lot of agencies and brands, which I think is great, will have a creator sit down and say the whole entire script to the camera so that they can supplement B roll over it. And I actually really agree with that because, like, when you are speaking about a product, you are speaking about a product. Like you are physically talking about it. And so people do expect to see that. It's a very easy way to sprinkle in footage. So when I feel like it's dead and it's not moving, rather than putting in a cheesy little B-roll clip to show something else, I much rather just show that I'm human and I can speak to you directly. And that can be hard. You right now, like you hear so much of like, okay, FaceTiming your friend videos are the thing that are working, right? Or so only speak to the camera. And I just like don't agree with that, like a black or white way. I wish I could like download my brain and explain why I do some of the things that I do, but I do think it is a bit of an art too, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I'd say the silent test is like the majority of where it's at. I always Another test is like if it's a really important piece of information. So say it's like how many reviews or something like that, where I just feel like people need to get like double down on word of mouth. I rather say like it saved me. So it saved me so much time and hassle is a personal statement. And so it's like I would have rather them know that from my face that it saved me so much time and hassle. And I don't even think this ad is that good. Like it's good, but it's not like that good. But it's really cool because once you find something like this, like we did well with this ad. It ran and, did, like I said, over, $120,000 in spent on Meta alone. Then they were able to take this script and dole it out to other creators. And guess what? They outperformed me. Perfect, as they should, because now we found an angle, we found a script, and now guess what? Drink Prep Drama became a whole unlock for us that allowed us to test many other ads that went on to be successful as well because of that messaging. Had I not like name the problem and make it easy for people to understand, we wouldn't have found that. And the same thing goes. I've done ads where it's like a razor brand. And so this is not naming the problem, it's naming the avatar by name, but it's the same idea of making the person feel seen immediately. And like the ad was literally made for them. And so what I mean by that is like hairy sisters, right? Like calling all my hairy sisters. That was another really high performing hook that I did for a brand. And I call them out,
Mhm.
name a problem, show a better end result, same thing you said, and name them. I label them. So it's really labels, and humans love labels because it helps us make sense of things,
They
right?
love stereotypes. That's like why stereotypes happen, whether that's good or bad. Probably bad a lot of the times, but it's because we want these neural shortcuts to
Yes.
understand the world and what we're seeing, right? And so
Hmm.
if you can give them shortcuts to understand what you're selling, the more clarity they can have sooner. And the more clarity
Yep.
they can have sooner, the more likely they're going to identify as, yes, I am absolutely a customer of this, or I'm absolutely not a customer of this. And that's okay for it to be a no, but at least they have the clarity.
Hmm.
And I think
Hmm.
that's huge. I love this. Real quick, when you think about putting together like the voiceovers versus like when you're like creating like let's say one scripted like video, do
Right.
you just like read off the script like as voiceover, just like one pass through so that hey, I've got the voiceover, and then you pick the lines of like what you might want to do on camera? How do you do that?
Are you asking like how I briefed this specific video for myself,
No, just in
or
general, like in general now, like when you are like, okay, I like I know I need to create this one video and you've got a script already. And you're like, that majority of the script won't actually be talking to camera. Do you record your voiceover all the way through and then record B-roll and then record some of the like talking to camera, like you're like, oh, I want this line, and this line to be talking to camera? Or do you just record all of it talking to camera and then you decide which B-roll you would want on that script?
Yeah, so obviously I have everything already planned out, like which shots I'm going to be doing, XYZ. But I always like if there are talking head shots, which a majority of them do. But there are some brands where it's just like, no, we've tried talking head and like why don't they perform? I don't know. So we're gonna stick with voiceover only. In that case, I do everything in one setting to like make sure it's as simple as possible. So if there's no um speaking to camera. I'm going to sit down at this mic here, the nicest mic I have, and I'm going to make sure it sounds really crisp and clear. If there are speaking to camera, for instance, I did, toothpaste last week or whatever, and a majority of that was I had planned for very organic feeling hooks to set the camera down and to start talking to the camera. To switch to a high quality mic in the middle of a video, in my mind, throws off your ad receptors immediately. And
Yep.
so I decide to keep shooting in the bathroom. So I will, to keep continuity. So then I will sit there and I will do it all direct to camera, the rest of the lines to keep the continuity. And then I'll likely bring that into Descript and just get the whole entire thing as an audio file. And then I will bring it, into my video editing software specifically and overlay the B-roll on top of that from there. But yeah, it helps. I have had some brands be like, doesn't it sound like she's in a bathroom? And I'm like, yeah, I shot it in a bathroom. Like, it's a
Yeah.
toothpaste. So it's like, I'm not saying it's one way or better than the other. I would say if I saw initial performance on that first ad enough to justify creating a crisp quality voiceover on top of that, then sure, let's try it. But like in my mind, to the end viewer, as long as you can hear what I say and like it sounds okay, like I think the echo in a little bit of a bathroom was okay personally. It showed it was real, but it's not like. So I just try to keep continuity with the vibe and the video and the end outcome that I'm looking for. I don't want it to seem super, super polished all the time, but there's definitely a time and place for that to happen. So, yeah, but mostly I am recording it all then and there just to make it easy. But say it is like one that is all voiceover, then I'll just do all the B-roll shots first. Then I'll come and I'll sit down and I'll just record the audio for that. So,
I love it. All right. Do you have another ad?
um,
Or
I
is that
don't,
it?
but I could. I mean, I do. I do have a lot of ads. So let me
No,
just here.
if you got one more ad, let's do one more ad. I
Let
love
me
it.
see. I got so many that I can't remember anymore. If that
Too
makes
many
sense.
winners. Oh, sorry.
Just been doing it too long.
Mm. Okay,
um,
or if you don't have an ad, you can tell me one thing that you've been doing recently that like you're I don't know, just like is there something that you're doing in your ad creation process that was different a year ago? Whether it's like are you
yeah.
using certain tools differently? I'm curious, like specifically in how you're coming up with ideas or
Mm.
formulating those ideas.
Well, I will say I am a really, really big fan of this brainstorming method right here.
Little
I
post-it
will
note
say
action.
I do love this. This is how, before I do any ad, stop. I don't look at competitors. I don't look at anything. I just try to write down the most simplest messaging I can possibly think of to boil down the ad. And I rank it then. I try to rank it, or I'll send it up into Chat GPT with a picture of all of them. I'll have it categorize them and rank it based on the specific avatars I'm trying to hit, like which messaging points are going to, really stick there. Another thing I've been doing recently is going back to basics. That's always something I'm trying to do because like we get really distracted by flashy new things, and I still believe like humans are 99.9% the same. Like, right. It's just that 1% that makes us a little bit different. So we're very different. But within that 99%, there's still so many learning lessons to be made. So what I mean by that is like taking, and I've, written a couple posts about this, but just like taking old inspiration of things that worked and like, how can I redo this? How can I make this fresh? Because there's a reason it worked in the first place, but like now users are tired of seeing it that way. So maybe there's a different angle or approach I could take. For example, um, an ad that, we're working on right now is like a 3 reasons why video. Okay, cool. That's not that exciting. 3 reasons why has been around for forever. What makes it so different? 3 reasons why, but run one reason why I don't like, right? That's like a spin. But another spin is, what if I did a 3 reasons why from my dog's perspective, using Meta Ray-Ban glasses instead of a traditional iPhone? And I brought a user through a story from the dog's perspective to give it a fresh, look at the product. In this specific instance, it's a dog bed. Why wouldn't the dog talk about their dog bed? So it's just like, sometimes like the biggest unlocks are just like they're already there. They're right in front of you. You just got to be willing to like play around a little bit with them. So I would definitely say that that is part of like my process, is like really just like thinking about not new, like net new iteration, but how can we just continue to squeeze out, like, why did this work? How can we squeeze out as much as we can from it, without, yeah, making it feel different. In terms of tools, Descript has been a huge unlock for me for those human, authentic content pieces. And I could see so many brands like being able to use it if they truly knew how to use Descript. It's like, it has been a huge unlock for me in the last year. I wasn't using it before, and I would have to manually find these human sound bites, but now it really has allowed me to just like go play. I did another unboxing video for like a Batman Woobles, I don't know, unboxing, and it did so well. And that was completely unscripted and fully just in post once again, made through Descript, and finding the best little highlights of what I said and crafting a story from it. So it's also not complicating your ads, right? Like, I think people are so stuck to these structures that do perform for a reason, but also we can't be stuck there. I think, and then with the rise of AI tools, it's almost shortcutting creativity. Whereas, like, just record humans and extract the like most reactionary best points from that. But what I mean by humans is like real humans, not just creators. Like, a reason I think my ads do well is because, I am a little bit of an actress as well. I'm also like, I don't work with products that I don't enjoy working with, so it's going to be authentic. But if you have a girl working on a supplement thing for you and you're trying to replicate like a gift, or like a reactionary for something that she's not even going to care about in the first place, your actor, whoever you have, like, it is going to show through like, as if they're not a good actor. So I think, yeah, like, talent, who I use in talent, who I partner with, really important too. Just for you to know your style too, so you can make the best ads possible, because that should always be the goal. So yeah, I would definitely say that.
So
And
with
yeah,
Descript, do you pull that out and then take it to somewhere else, or do you do the full edit within Descript?
no, I just upload all the raw footage, like everything at once, and I sit down and I grab my liquid death. Then I'm like, all right, here we go. Where are the nuggets in here? And it's pretty easy. You don't have to watch the video, right? You just skim through all the closed captions. And that's where, even like when I use Descript for every single voiceover I do, pretty much, because I am the person that's going to record voiceovers 3 to 4 times to get the right tone. I will literally sit there and close my eyes and listen to me saying it 5 times. And like with my hand on the pause, like, once I hear the right one, I pause it and I'm like, that was the one. That's the one I feel I sound the most authentic in. Delete everything else, and there's the little part.
Yep.
So whether I have a script or not, I'm always using Descript. Then I export that VO into my video editing platform, and I just start to build the ad on top of it. So it's pretty nice.
And
Yeah.
for anybody like listening, you can also do that in Premiere. So you can
Mhm.
actually do text-based editing in Premiere. It's a function. You can do it in Descript. I don't know if there's any other ones out there, but yeah.
Not yet that I know
I don't
of,
think
but
CapCut does it, but still, it's easy to just go from Descript, export it
mhm.
out, put it to CapCut or whatever
Yeah.
you else
Plus,
like,
I like
edit
knowing
on.
like all of those files are like in Descript, like every single project is nice. So yeah, and plus it's nice to go in if I want to make an iteration on that ad to go back to the original, like and pull in just one line that I wanted to change maybe, versus having to like redo the whole thing. So yeah, Descript has been a really powerful tool for me. Obviously, we are using Chat, Claude, all those things to help with script writing in very, very limited capacities. But you know, outside of that, like in terms of content inspiration, I think a lot like other people, getting, you know, having fun, like taking organic inspiration and somehow weaving it into, you know, its own format or type of ad, like even the POV from a dog, you know, that's something you might see a little bit more on the organic side, but it's not hard to spin it up into a more direct response type of video. So when done correctly. So it's just taking those, you know, organic inspo and really helping to create something out of it. So for instance, over Halloween, saw like a post about candies, like which candy would you grab in your trick or treat basket, and it's a grid format, right?
Yeah.
And I sent it to a friend who worked, I think, at licorice.com. And I was like, you guys should make an ad like this. And sure enough, they made which licorice would you choose? Like, and did all this different cool looking little graph formulas. And sure enough, it went on to be like top performing static. So it's like inspo is everywhere. It's not normally in your competitors' accounts, in my opinion. Um,
100%.
but it's, yeah, just I like being a good social listener. And what I have noticed is that people who have never made an ad before, they really struggle with these kinds of like things, and it's called creativity. Truly, like it is creativity. And if you've never made an ad before, that can be really, really difficult. So the people who are winning online right now, you can tell if they know how to make an ad because they they likely have done it themselves.
Yeah.
So
All right, Hannah, plug away. Where should we follow you? Where should we, how can we get to
yeah.
know you more?
Yeah, definitely follow me on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days. But you know, that's where I'm most LinkedIn and X, Hannah Houg. So definitely check out. I try to be, you know, as value like driven as I can. I've been hesitant to share like the naming a problem, even though it's not that big of like an unlock. But I think once people like catch on to it, all I am scared I'm gonna see are just like all these like labels everywhere. And so yeah, but I try to share like, you know, some helpful tips and pointers. My philosophy, you know, is the content is you. The content is all around you. I know you know what I'm talking about, Matt. You're so good at that. So just trying to share things from my own ads and learnings and things that are going to help inspire. If I can make even one person look better in their marketing meetings, like I will have known that I have done my job. So yeah, check me out. And yeah, here's to more great human, reactionary, authentic ads in 2025.
I love it. I
So,
love it. Hannah, thanks for coming on.
yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is so awesome.